Hello everyone and welcome back to Scandinavian Design 101. I'm Sanna.
I'm Andreas and we're two Swedes and we love design.
Yes we do, and today we're gonna talk about the connection between ancient Egyptian furniture and the Danish architect Finn Juhl. It's hardly a secret that Juhl was highly inspired by historical furniture types when designing some of his most iconic pieces. So let's start from the beginning.
Yes. Danish mid-century furniture design was highly influenced by the theories and ideas of the architect Kåre Klint. And he's often called the father of Danish modern design. And is associated with like clean lines, outstanding quality and superb craftsmanship. And in 1924 he founded the Furniture School at the Royal Academy, an institution where most of the Danish furniture designers would come to study. Not Finn Juhl, but most of the others. A fundamental principle at the school was the study of traditional furniture models. Before designing furniture of their own, the students had to draw and study traditional furniture models. And therefore, Danish furniture design came to be much about refining traditional furniture, creating modern interpretations of them. And this can be seen in the works of a long range of architects, among them Hans J. Wegner, Börje Mogensen and Paul Kjærholm.
And now to Finn Juhl. He was born in 1912 and already at a young age he wanted to become an art historian. During his teenage years he spent a lot of time at museums like the Danish National Gallery in Copenhagen, and he read a huge lot of advanced books on art history. His authoritarian father didn't approve of his pursuit of career. So instead he admitted to the architecture school at the Royal Danish Academy, where he came to study between 1930 and 1934. His teacher and mentor was Kai Fisker, a leading architect and educator when it came to Danish functionalism. At the academy, Juhl could combine his interest in history with a study of modern architecture. It's interesting to note though that Juhl didn't study furniture design. This was of course a challenge for him when designing furniture later on. At first he had no sense of joinery or wooden constructions and had to rely on intuition. The problem was solved when he came in contact with the experienced cabinetmaker Niels Vodder, who helped transforming Juhl's basic sketches into high-quality furniture. It was in collaboration with Vodder that the clear separation between the supporting elements and the supported elements was developed, a principle further on often seen in furniture by Juhl.
Yeah. And Finn Juhl did think of himself as a functionalist, but considered the ideas of Kåre Klint to be way too schematic and strict. According to him, Klint lost himself in mathematics and geometry when designing furniture. And one example was the so-called spherical bed designed by Klint in 1938. And Juhl commented the bed by saying, "My things are created for humans and a human body. And I think it's seldom that the sphere goes to sleep." And that's, yeah, he has a point there. Yeah. In contrast to Klint and followers like Börje Mogensen, Juhl experimented and came up with design solutions and shapes not strictly determined by function. And he was influenced by contemporary art, by artists like Jean Arp, Alexander Calder and Sigurd Jan Olafsson. And the result was organically shaped furniture, and among them the Pelican chair and the poet sofa. We've all seen them. But his interest in history and foreign cultures was also a huge source of inspiration throughout his career. And this could not least be seen in his contribution to the 1949 Copenhagen Cabinetmakers Guild exhibition. But we will get back to that later.
Yeah. Now let's travel to Egypt and the year 1922. The British Egyptologist Howard Carter had for a long time been looking for a previously unknown tomb hidden somewhere in the Valley of the Kings. In the fall of 1922, a member of the Carter team, a young water boy, stumbled across a stone which turned out to be the top of a stair cut into the rock. When the stair was dug out, Carter found a doorway stamped with hieroglyphic writing bearing the name of Tutankhamun. Yes. And he immediately realized the importance of the find. When breaking the doorway, the team of Egyptologists found a corridor leading to a second sealed door. Carter made a hole in the door and used a candle to be able to see what was inside. At first I could see nothing, he later explained. The hot air escaping from the chamber causing the candle flame to flicker. But presently, as my eyes grew accustomed to the light, details of the room within emerged slowly from the mist. Strange animals, statues, and gold. Everywhere the glint of gold. According to the legend, Carter was asked if he saw anything and immediately replied, "Yes, wonderful things." And this epic one-liner was sadly never said by Carter at the grave. I guess it was something he came up with when telling the story later. But the things found in the tomb was nevertheless wonderful.
Yeah.
And the discovery of the tomb was big news all over the world, and pictures of all the amazing artifacts could soon be seen in newspapers and books, among them several pieces of furniture. It's hardly surprising designers all over the world got inspired by this, creating their own modern interpretations. One striking example is the Tabaret 1063, designed by the Austrian-Swedish designer Josef Frank in 1941 for firma Svensk 10. It's almost an identical copy of an ancient Egyptian tabaret. And also the Danish architect Ole Wanscher was inspired by ancient Egypt, not least when designing his folding stool in 1957. It's indeed almost identical to wooden folding stools produced in Thebes, 1500 to 1000 BC.
And now let's get back to Finn Juhl and the furniture he designed for the 1949 Copenhagen Cabinetmakers Guild exhibition. Sometime prior, he had visited the Louvre in Paris and got fascinated by a 3,500-year-old Egyptian chair with a characteristic triangular backrest support. At the time, he was also studying tribal art as well as ethnographic weaponry like bows, spears and shields. And inspired by this, he soon designed two chairs for the Cabinetmakers exhibition, the dining chair FJ49 and the lounge chair FJ49A. And later Juhl confessed to journalists, "Honestly, I stole the construction. I stole the right angle and the curved back." When it came to the dining chair, simply called the Egyptian chair, it's easy to see the resemblance with the chair he previously had seen at the Louvre, not least when it comes to the triangular back support. The other chair was a large lounge chair, soon nicknamed the Chieftain Chair.
Yeah. As with the dining chair, it has a triangular backrest support, but it's also inspired by weaponry. The delicate arms and backrests are similar to tribal shields, and the vertical stilts looks much like a wooden bow used for hunting. According to Juhl, he started drawing a sketch of the chair in a spring morning in 1949 and was finished the same night. But he also confessed that he'd been thinking of designing a similar chair for quite some time. A predecessor of the Chieftain has been featured at the Cabinetmakers exhibition in 1948, and that chair was hardly as elegant or elaborated, but shared a lot of similarities with the Chieftain. At the 1949 exhibition, the furniture were exhibited together with the tribal artifacts, a way for Juhl to show the audience the origin of the design.
Yeah.
And most striking was a large wooden bow hanging behind the Chieftain chair.
But what about the name Chieftain Chair? Where does it come from? Originally, Juhl simply called it the Big Chair, and that's quite a suitable name. But the 1949 exhibition was to be opened by King Frederick of Denmark, and Juhl was asked by someone who the large chair was for, and he jokingly replied, King Frederick. And further on, they started calling it the King Frederick chair, but such a name was, of course, impossible to use officially. Instead, Juhl said the chair was for some random chieftain, and there's where the name come from.
Sounds like a lie.
Yeah, probably. The Chieftain chair was produced by master cabinetmaker Nils Vodder for more than 20 years. In the early 70s, the collaboration between Juhl and Vodder came to an end, and the right to produce the chair was given to Ivan Schlechter, who since the mid-50s had been doing a upholstery job for Vodder. PP Möbler was hired as sub-supplier making the wooden frames. And after Juhl's death in 1989, the production right was given to cabinetmaker Nils Roth Andersen. And in 1999, finally, the manufacturer Hansen and Sørensen, later renamed One Collection, bought the rights to all the furniture by Juhl and started producing the Chieftain Chair. And they still produce it, but the wooden parts are actually made in Japan and shipped to Denmark to be upholstered. And the retail price is about $16,000, and that sounds ridiculous almost. It's extremely expensive. Yes. But old chairs are also extremely expensive and sold at auction. And one example, in 2013, the auction house Philips sold an early chair made by teak by Nils Vodder for the astonishing price of $470,000. So that's a lot of money for a chair.
Let's end it with that.
Yes. And if you found this video interesting,
please click thumbs up and subscribe.
And of course follow us on Instagram. We are called Scandinavian Design 101.
Yes. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.